Here we are. This is a Technical Foul Show. I'm Jonathan Abada.
I'm Raj Khanna.
You are. You're Raj. You are Raj. Tell us a little bit about what you did this morning. Meeting the guy.
I met a guy.
Met a guy. Future roommates up over in the Washington D.C. area. You met him today. I just thought that was a noteworthy
Completely
occasion.
irrelevant.
Noteworthy occasion. By the way, we might have a fourth. So stay tuned. Would you want a fourth?
We'll see.
Anyway, this is the Technical Foul Show where we talk about basketball. And specifically, today is the last day of the regular season. How does that make you feel?
Sad.
I think it makes me feel happy because now we're done with the regular season, which, if you've been paying attention, a lot of teams are resting up. A lot of teams are not starting their starters. A lot of teams are trying to lose games to get better ping pong ball, better position in the draft, basically. But they're not important, are they? They're not important. But today being the last day of the regular season, there are only 6 teams that are solidly in the positions that they will be. Losing and winning today will not change their fates whatsoever. And the teams are. You want to say it?
You got him.
Yeah. Indiana Pacers. Actually, just 7. Indiana Pacers, Atlanta Hawks, 1-8.
We can just go ahead and say that series is going to be sweet.
Disagree. If you recall, a couple weeks back, Atlanta beat them, I think 122 to 87.
Doesn't matter.
They were playing their starters. They were playing their starters in Indiana. I'm not sold on Indiana having solved their basketball problems. I think Atlanta will definitely win 1, minimum 5. I think it could go as many as 6. I think it would go as many as 7.
I'm going with a sweep.
All right.
Indiana sweeps.
Are we going to do predictions? We have to do predictions today, I guess, because next week they'll have already started. Right? Yeah. So
it's a sweep.
yeah, and it's difficult because we don't actually know which seeds are in where they're going to be. So that makes it a little bit difficult to make predictions, obviously. But anyway, like I said, he thinks it's a sweep. I think the Hawks are better than they get credit for, and I think we go 6. Miami Heat will be the number 2 seed. That's official. And they're going to rest all their starters today, I think Wade might play. In the Western Conference, that's it in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk a little bit more about what can be done in the 7 through 3 spots. Western Conference, San Antonio will be the number 1 team. They will be the number 1 team in the entire NBA. So if they make it to the finals, they will have home court advantage.
As will Oklahoma City. As will Oklahoma City.
Except for in the Western Conference Finals. It's impossible for them to have.
If they beat the Spurs, they have home court in the final.
Yeah, which is to say that the Spurs even makes it that far.
As do the Clippers.
Oh, Houston and Portland. That is a series that will happen, no matter what. Houston having the number 4 seed, Portland having the number 5 seed, and the Golden State Warriors have the number 6 seed. So out west, the 2, 3, and 7 seeds, and 8 seeds, 2, 3, 7, and 8, are still up for grabs. That's kind of cool how it happens on the last day. Something usually changes on the last day, but it's usually not this many teams. Anyway.
I think Houston wins Portland series in 5.
You want to talk about the Houston-Portland series?
I think they'll start playing more defense. Dwight will be a little too much to handle for Portland, and Portland doesn't have the playoff experience. So I think it's going to be 5. Short. It's going to be a close game. They're not going to be blowouts, but I think Portland just steals 1 at home. And then
You think Houston steals 1 in Portland?
Well, yeah. Portland wins 1 at home, and then Houston comes back in game 4 and takes it.
I have them in 6. I have Houston in 6. I think Portland's been playing really well of late. They had the really, really good early season, and then they stumbled a little bit. And then, actually, for a little bit, they stumbled ever since after the All-Star break, really, they had been struggling in March. And during February a little bit too. They had a really, really good start, and obviously they cooled off a little bit. They're gonna come in the 5 spot in a pretty competitive Western Conference, and I think in their last 20 games or something, they're in like the 60% win range, which is where you want to be going into the playoffs. I think they have younger players, and that's true. They will have not a whole lot of playoff experience, but a couple years back, if you remember, they played Dallas in the first round, and they got beat. That was during Dirk's run of greatness that has never been paralleled, basically. So yeah, I like Houston in that round too. I haven't looked at it that long. I think they're going to have trouble defending LaMarcus Aldridge because Terrence Jones is not that tall. I think he's like 6'8".
I think he's like 6'9" or 6'10".
Well, I mean they listed him at 6'9" or 6'10", but I think he's really like a closer like a 6'8". He's more like he's more of a.
I don't think they have enough interior presence for James Harden.
Well, they got Robin Lopez. You are on the Robin Lopez bandwagon.
I do like Robin Lopez, but he's not a huge interior defender.
That's all that he does. He's a defensive
center.
center.
But one-on-one, he's not going to hedge on pick and rolls and
No, that's true.
take care of James Harden. And
Their
James
pick and roll
flopping all
coverage.
the time, so Robin's just going to foul him.
Yeah. Who's their backup behind Robin?
Thomas Robinson.
Is he
And
more of a
Joel
guard?
Freeland.
Yeah, Freeland's the center. Thomas Robinson, you can't put him out there. Otherwise, you have to put LaMarcus at the 5. LaMarcus is about 6'11", I think. He's very close to 7 feet tall. But yeah, I think LaMarcus is going to have a good series. And I don't think anyone's going to guard Lillard. And I don't think anyone. Wesley Matthews and
Beverly.
Harden.
Beverly's back.
Beverly's back. Is he starting?
No, I don't know.
I think
I saw somewhere that he's back.
Yeah,
or
they
that he's coming
definitely.
back.
No, the both of them played in the game last week that Howard came back in.
And
They both
Beverly's
came back.
and Lillard likes to stay outside on the 3. Beverly, that's where he's a pest. So I think it's gonna bother Lillard a little bit.
Yeah, and I think the Wesley Matthews James Harden matchup's gonna be good because Matthews is a very strong guy, and Harden's also very strong. So I think that combination is gonna be kind of interesting to see what happens. So I think we're gonna take a break. That was segment went a little long. When we come back, we're gonna talk more about what's gonna happen in the seeding. So stick around. All right, welcome back. In the Eastern Conference, we have the Toronto Raptors vying for the number 3 seed. If they beat New York tonight, the New York Knicks tonight, they will have the number 3 seed. They control their own destiny.
And they will play Washington. As long as Washington wins.
Not 100% true. But if Chicago Bulls lose, either way, Toronto. So Toronto controls their own fate. Chicago does not. Chicago needs Toronto to lose, and they also need to win.
Right.
To get the number 3 seed. Toronto's playing the New York Knicks without Carmelo Anthony. So I think Chicago is playing Charlotte Bobcats. That will be interesting.
Charlotte probably wants to win as well because right now Charlotte's
Trying to get the number 6.
Charlotte's trying to get number 6, and
Yeah.
if they win and Washington loses, then Washington drops down to 7, and Charlotte moves up to 6.
And Charlotte would then play Toronto, and
Or Chicago.
Washington would play Miami or Chicago. Washington would play Miami in that case. Brooklyn can win the 5 seed if they beat the Cavaliers. If the Cavaliers win, Washington can overtake Brooklyn for 5th place by beating Boston. Wow, did not know that. So that is interesting.
That was right.
Washington could be as low as 7, but as high as 5. Pretty crazy. Washington wins or Charlotte loses to Chicago, the Bobcats are locked in at number 7. So that just means that the Bobcats are not in control of their own fate. They need some stuff to happen.
They need to win.
If Boston beats the Wizards, Bobcats can rise up by beating the Bulls.
Here's
Yeah.
what's likely going to happen. They're all probably going to win their own games because they're playing not so good teams.
Oh, I don't think that doesn't make you can't. Chicago's playing Boston or
Washington's playing Boston.
Chicago's playing Charlotte. They can't all win.
Okay, besides that. But Washington's probably going to win. Toronto's probably going to win. They're playing against in New York without Melo. So Toronto.
Although New York without Melo beat Brooklyn the other day.
Well, Brooklyn sucks.
Well, you say that they're all going to win. They're playing.
I
Brooklyn's
think
playing,
Chicago beats Charlotte as well.
but it won't matter.
But it won't
except for Charlotte, who it does matter for because now they're going to have to play.
So I think what we're looking at is basically what's going to stay. Miami's going to play Charlotte in the first round, and I think Charlotte would rather play Miami in the first round because
I don't agree with that.
over Chicago. I think they'd rather play Chicago. They'd probably rather play Toronto, but if I had to choose between Chicago and Miami, Big Al he's a good guy inside the paint that Miami kind of struggles with.
Yeah, but they're not going to win any games.
Kemba.
Can I tell you this?
Quick point guards that Miami also kind of struggles with, and they got 3-point shooting. They got defenders to throw at LeBron.
A Charlotte team has never beaten a LeBron team since, I think, March of the year of the decision.
Great.
They haven't won in
That
4
doesn't matter.
years. They haven't. Charlotte team has not beaten a
So
LeBron team
This is
in
a different
4
Charlotte
years.
Team, completely different Charlotte team.
That means something. That means that as long as Miami's been there,
Completely.
as
different
long as
Charlotte.
LeBron's been in Miami,
Big Al's only been there in this season.
that's true. And what happened? They lost every game.
It's all good.
It's not all good. Were you saying if I'm Charlotte, do I want to go against the defending champions or do I want to go to Chicago, a team that doesn't have Derrick Rose?
I'd rather.
Oh, that's right. Team without Derrick Rose, team where Joakim Noah is the best player on the team. They could beat Chicago. They can't beat Miami. You might be like,
Yeah,
they could
because
steal one, but they're not
when-
going to beat Miami. No shot.
They're off.
0%
Chicago's
chance.
off. I mean, Charlotte's offense is not top 10 offense.
No. Good defense.
So exactly. So the thing when the reason Chicago keeps winning is because their defense is so good. They struggle when teams score with the ball, which Charlotte can't do. That's why I know Charlotte's going to struggle a lot against Chicago. They have matchups that it's going to make very difficult for someone like Al Jefferson. If he's got Noah behind him, then you kind of have no chance against this team because their defense is too good and Charlotte's offense doesn't make up for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with any of those things, but then you also think about a Miami team who every year plays better in the playoffs. The Chicago
Look,
team,
Charlotte's not winning it anyway. Not gonna.
they could win a game or two against Chicago. They
could
won't win
they
any
could win a
games
game.
in Miami.
They could win a. They're.
Do you remember the stat that I just said where they haven't won a game
okay.
against a LeBron-led team? You might be able to
It's
console
completely-
the Charlotte
the
fan
stat doesn't
base by
matter.
saying it's okay.
That stat doesn't matter.
It matters. Stats matter. That stat does matter.
No, it's only been one season.
No.
I'm talking about this Big Al team, a different team.
Which, guess what? They lost every game.
Okay, it's 4 games. It's not.
How many games do they play in the playoffs? It could be 4.
Okay, they're not. Okay, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying.
Okay, well, thank you for your. It doesn't seem like the rationale makes sense to me, but that doesn't matter. Moving on.
It's just so biased against the Heat.
I'm biased against the Heat. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first, folks. I'm biased against the Heat. The other thing that could happen is that the Wizards could play Miami, and that'd be kind of interesting because people in the DC area could go see Miami in the playoffs. That's happened in a long time. That'd be an interesting series because Washington actually has won, I think, 2 or 3 of the games in the series out of the 4, which is, Miami was full strength for one of them. I'm not
They
sure
got
if
destroyed.
I'm not sure if they were full strength for all of them, but yeah, they got beat, and that team with Nene and Wall, Beal. Although I'll be honest, Beal's kind of regressed this past couple months. He had a great first 3 months, and then he started shooting like below 40%. His shot selection's not bad. I don't really know what it is. I think when he's spot up, I think he's much better than when he's trying to create, and that can sometimes cause problems.
Well, the more likely scenario is that they play Toronto, and
Another good series. think.
that's a good matchup in probably all 5 positions. Lowry versus Wall, Gortat and Valanciunas, Amir
Alright.
Johnson and
Yeah, that's not really. No one's watching for the Amir Johnson
DeRozan.
matchup.
DeRozan and Beal.
DeRozan Beal.
So
None of these guys are really
Ariza.
defensive players.
Ariza.
Ariza against Terrence Ross.
It's a good matchup.
Those guys almost all do the exact same thing. Yeah, close. Yeah, so we're going to take a break.
You even got Grievous, Vasquez, and Andre Miller like the same coming off the bench.
Yay. Andre Miller's relevant again. Remember when he hadn't been in the playoffs? He'd played the most games of anybody to never play in the playoffs. Good times. Good times. Welcome back. We're going to go to the Western Conference now. And The Oklahoma City can secure the number 2 seed by beating the Detroit Pistons tonight at home.
They could also lose and the Clippers win.
That would lock the
Portland.
Clippers in the number 2 seed. If the Thunder lose, the Clippers who will be without Blake Griffin and JJ Redick. So it'll be tough. It'll be tough.
Either way, they're
Moda
playing
Center is Portland, right?
Golden State stuck in the 6th spot. They're gonna play either the Clippers most likely or the Thunder if the Thunder fall down. Golden State is done for the season. They're gonna lose in 5 to whoever they play because of Bogut.
They're gonna get 5.
5. They're out in 5. They win one game because Curry goes off in Golden State. But
You know, I was watching.
without Bogut, that team, you can't rely on Jermaine O'Neal for 40 minutes a game.
You can't rely on him for 5 minutes a game.
Yeah, you can. You just can't rely on support.
Jermaine's overratedly. He's had a renaissance this year for sure. But if you do rely on Jermaine O'Neal for any extent, if he's a big player in your team, I think you're not going very far. However,
Which is what made them so good in the playoffs last year, is because you had this big guy in the center of the paint who just, all he did was play defense, rebound, block shots.
yeah, David Lee didn't play, and then they had
And just 4 shooters.
what was the name of that guy? Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is less of a shooter and more of a.
But you don't have that big
Creator.
guy to send the guys too. You have who's gonna guard DeAndre Jordan, who's gonna guard Serge Ibaka, who's gonna guard these guys.
I was watching. The. You know, to be fair, Oklahoma City, it would be interesting because if they went small again, and they had David Lee at the center,
Right.
and they put Harrison Barnes in the starting lineup.
And that game happened twice, and Oklahoma City blew them out twice.
Okay, but I'm just saying.
One of those is when Durant went off for 50.
All right, defense is always going to be a problem. But I don't think Perkins can guard David Lee.
And Westbrook wasn't playing one of those games. Sorry.
Westbrook was not one of those games, right? And that was one of the during the months that Durant went crazy. I do think that if you put David Lee out there and you make him small, I think that changes the way Oklahoma City has to play, and I think that you can win a game or two that way.
Big game.
And you also, like I was saying, I watched the thing, the Jalen Rose, Bill Simmons thing. They talked a little bit about who they thought their dark horses would be. Their dark horses were Houston and Golden State because of the fact that Curry can win you 2 games by himself just with his hot shooting, and the fact that Klay Thompson can kind of do it and make him, crazy shots too. So
Just don't. If you don't have the interior presence, you're not gonna win.
I still think if you speed that tempo up, you take Perkins out, and you would only have it would make the size problem different.
That's why I think they win one game. I just think they're too much to handle for. I mean, they play good defense as a unit. Oklahoma City does. It's not just Perkins inside.
Yeah, I know, but I just think that obviously we don't think Perkins is really a valuable NBA player anymore. He doesn't really exhibit nothing really. No statistic points to him being any good, and you can also use the eye test and saying when he's out of the game they play better. So maybe that wouldn't be such a good thing. But I just you look back at last year and you remember how well they did, and it was like maybe that could happen again. Who'd they play last year where they got really hot with them?
Denver.
Yeah, that was a different team too. That was probably a mistake for them to play like that. Yeah, and then the last thing we can talk about is Dallas Mavericks, Memphis Grizzlies going up against each other tonight. Whoever wins will be the number 7 seed. Whoever loses will be the number 8 seed. So, if you want to see Dirk play against San Antonio one more time, you want Memphis to win. You want to see Memphis play against Spurs one more time, you want Memphis, or you want Dallas to win. So
I think Memphis is 3-1 against the Spurs this season, and Dallas is 0-4.
I don't know about that because I remember seeing the last game they got blown out. They got blown out.
Right.
And apparently that had Hardwood Paroxysm and Matt Moore on Twitter was saying that since that season when Memphis destroyed San Antonio, he said that San Antonio has figured them out a little bit, and you can look at their
They
record.
definitely have. You could tell by the Western Conference playoffs last year. They swept them in the Western Conference finals.
Who did?
San Antonio did.
Memphis.
You don't remember the playoffs?
Was this last year?
Yeah.
Maybe that's a long time ago.
It was not even a year ago.
It was almost exactly a year ago.
Not when the Western Conference finals was.
I thought that they played Oklahoma City or
Oklahoma
No,
City
they played
lost
Golden
to Memphis.
State, I
That's another
thought.
thing. If Memphis has to play Oklahoma City in the first round, I don't feel so comfortable about Memphis, about Oklahoma City. I think Memphis kind of figured out how to play them as well. They got some key pieces coming off the bench now. Memphis does.
It also
I think
keeps them with that horrible lineup that has Kendrick Perkins playing.
exactly.
And
It forces you to play Kendrick Perkins more often. That's one less score on the. That's one less guy to worry about on offense.
Yeah.
The entire game, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I think if you're Oklahoma City, you're trying to avoid playing Memphis. Even if they win, it's just going to be a tough round. It's not going to be like a sweep.
Well,
None of the series in the Western Conference will be a sweep. in my
Having to
opinion.
play, physically against a team that drains you, it's like having to play against Chicago. Chicago will struggle to win any series they play against. But they'll win against the worst teams, and against the good teams, they'll drain them physically. Which if you can avoid playing those teams, you're better off because you're not going to be as physically sapped, and you're not going to have as many bruises and stuff. It's literally a fist fight between any of the teams that play in Chicago or Memphis. Teams that can't score. I think Charlotte's going to kind of be like that. But anyway, yeah. So we'll be back next week, and next week's show, probably the first couple games of the playoffs will have already been played, so we can come back and we can talk about what we've seen and maybe go into the next round of predictions for the following round, which that'll be that's a little ways away. So anyway, guys, stick around.
Gobble gobble.
Go Hokies.